Imagine finding a single copper penny, old, dark, ordinary, and realizing it could pay your rent for a year. That's not a dream. That's the story of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin born in the final year of World War II, a coin that today, in the right condition, has sold for as much as $18,750. Let's rewind to the middle of the 1940s. The world was at war. Factories across America were running day and night, building tanks, planes, and ammunition. Every scrap of metal mattered, even the metal in your pocket change. In 1943, the US Mint made pennies out of steel to save copper for the war. They looked silvery, but they rusted easily and confused people who thought they were dimes. So in 1944, when the war began turning in the Allies' favor, the Mint quietly switched back to copper. The 1944 Lincoln cent returned to its classic bronze composition, 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. But the copper they used wasn't ordinary. Much of it came from recycled shell casings from the battlefields of World War II. That means every 1944 penny carries a literal piece of wartime history, melted from bullets and artillery shells that once defended freedom. 3 mints produced them that year: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a small d; and San Francisco, with the S mint mark just below the date. The San Francisco Mint struck 282,160,000 pennies, an enormous number. So at first glance, the 1944 S seems common. But when you start looking at condition, rarity, and mint errors, the story changes fast. Most 1944 S pennies you see in circulation are worn flat, dark, and smooth from decades of use. They're worth maybe 5 to 10 cents each. But the higher you climb in grade, the scarcer they become. In Mint State 63, they can bring 1525. In MS65 Red, 75, 120. In MS66 Red, 2150, 350. And the real treasures, those flawless, blazing red gems with no spots, no scratches, and that perfect mint luster, can sell for thousands. One spectacular 1944 S, graded MS67 Red, sold for $11,200. Another hit, 13,275. An incredible high-end piece realized $15,600. And the record, a breathtaking, fully red 1944 S, brought $18,750 at auction. A single 1-cent coin worth more than some cars. But that's not the only thing collectors chase. There are also errors and varieties that make this coin even more exciting. Some 1944 S pennies show a repunched mint mark, where the S was stamped twice. You can spot it under magnification, a faint shadow of the first punch. Others have die cracks running across Lincoln's shoulder or the wheat stalks, tiny raised lines caused by stress on the die. And then there's the most famous and valuable error of them all, the 1944 steel penny. During the transition back to copper, a few leftover steel blanks from 1943 accidentally got mixed in at the mint. Those rare 1944 steel cents, especially from San Francisco, are legendary. Fewer than 35 are known to exist, and one sold for an incredible $408,000. That's right, nearly $500,000 for a penny. But even without that miracle error, the standard 1944 S copper penny has a rich legacy. Think about what was happening that year. Allied forces were landing in Normandy. Paris was liberated. Franklin D. Roosevelt was serving his final term. America's economy was roaring back. Soldiers were coming home. And everyday citizens were saving change in glass jars, buying war bonds, and building hope for a new future. Each penny struck that year was a symbol of resilience, a nation getting ready to move forward after years of hardship. And that's what gives the 1944 S penny its emotional weight. It's not just a coin, it's a fragment of history you can hold between your fingers. Now, if you're wondering how to find one, here's the truth. They're still out there. Old coffee tins, cigar boxes, jars of wheat pennies from grandparents or great-grandparents often hide 1940s dates. Estate sales, flea markets, and small coin shops are perfect hunting grounds. Sometimes you'll even get lucky in a roll of pennies from the bank. When you find one, the first step is to check for the S mint mark below the date. Then, look at its color and shine. If it's bright red and has no wear, it's worth inspecting closely. Use a magnifier and check for that repunched mint mark or any die cracks. If it looks pristine, it might be time to get it graded. Send it to PCGS or NGC, the 2 top grading services. If it comes back graded MS66 Red or higher, you're holding a serious collectible. And if it's flawless, that dream MS67 Red, you could be looking at a coin worth well into the five-figure range. When it's time to sell, smaller coins in lower grades do fine on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. But high-grade and error coins belong with the professionals, heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers or great collections, where dedicated collectors drive bidding wars that push prices into the stratosphere. So, what does the 1944 penny teach us? That something tiny, something you might overlook in your pocket, can hold a story bigger than its size. A coin born from recycled bullets, a coin that saw the end of a world war, a coin that today stands as a reminder of America's strength and recovery. Most are worth a few cents, but the finest survivors, those with deep red luster, untouched by time, have sold for $11,200, $13,975, $15,600, even $18,750. From a penny of peace to a treasure of history. That's the magic of the Lincoln Wheat Penny. So next time you're thumbing through change, don't overlook that old copper coin. Check the date, look for that little S, and remember, the smallest coin in your hand might just be worth more than gold. You pick up an old penny, it's brown, worn, maybe even green around the edges. Nothing special until you look closer. The date reads 1958, and on the back you see the famous wheat stalks. That's when it hits you. This isn't just a coin. It's the final chapter of one of America's most iconic designs. And if you're lucky, that tiny penny in your hand could be worth over $24,000. The year was 1958. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. Gas cost 25 cents a gallon. The average home sold for around $12,000. Elvis ruled the radio and the Cold War was heating up. Meanwhile, inside the Philadelphia and Denver mints, workers were striking the last of the Lincoln Wheat cents, the design that had graced US pennies since 1909. After almost half a century, the wheat ear's reverse would soon be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. Collectors didn't know it yet, but they were witnessing the end of an era. Two mints produced the 1958 penny. Philadelphia, with no mint mark, made about 252 million coins. Denver, with the small d under the date, struck an enormous 800 million, over 3/4 billion. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and was made of 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. Now with numbers that high, you might think the 1958 penny is common. And in worn condition, it absolutely is. But coin collecting is all about perfection. In high grades, with original color and blazing luster, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat can transform from pocket change into treasure. Most circulated examples are worth just a few cents. A clean, uncirculated one in MS63 red might bring $10 to $15. At MS65 red, you're looking at $40 to $60. In MS66 red, $120 to $200. But at the top of the scale, MS67 red and above, that's where the fireworks start. A 1958 penny graded MS67, red by PCGS, once sold for $11,600. Another reached $14,925. A gem example brought $18,400. And the record, a brilliant, blazing red survivor, hammered for an unbelievable $24,000. $24,000 for a 1-cent coin. And that's just the Philadelphia issue. Denver minted 1958D. Cents can also reach huge numbers when they're perfect. One graded MS67 red sold for $13,200. But the real legend is the 1958 doubled, die obverse, one of the rarest modern penny varieties ever discovered. On that coin, every letter in Liberty and In God We Trust is sharply doubled. The doubling is so strong it looks like the coin was printed twice. Only a few examples are known, fewer than 3 dozen. And when one comes to auction, collectors go wild. A 1958 double-die penny sold for $336,000, and another brought $288,000. That's life-changing money for a coin most people overlook. So, even though the regular 1958 wheat penny is common, the hunt for flawless strikes and rare varieties keeps this coin alive in collectors' hearts. Now let's add a little history. The wheat cent design had begun in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was the first US coin to feature a real person, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. For nearly 50 years, Americans saw Lincoln's profile on one side and 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent on the other. It survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the dawn of the atomic age. By 1958, the mint decided it was time for a new look, the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which began in 1959. That makes every 1958 penny the last of the classic wheat line, a farewell to an era of design and craftsmanship. Imagine the stories these coins have seen. 1958 was the year NASA was founded. The first microchip was invented. American families were buying their first color TVs. And somewhere, a child dropped a shiny new Lincoln penny into a piggy bank. Maybe one of those rare MS-67 gems we now dream of finding. So how do you find one? Start where all treasure hunts begin, at home. Check your old jars, piggy banks, drawers, or inherited collections. Wheat pennies often hide in boxes untouched for decades. Roll hunting is another favorite method. Pick up rolls of pennies from your local bank and search them under good light. It takes patience, but collectors still pull 1950s wheat cents from circulation. When you find a 1958, look carefully. Is it bright red? Does it have that glossy original mint luster? Are the letters sharp? If so, don't clean it, ever. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, handle it by the edges and store it safely. If it looks nearly flawless, send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. That certification can turn a few dollar coin into one worth thousands. And if by chance you see doubling on the date or the word liberty, stop everything. You might have the fabled double die, variety worth hundreds of thousands. When it's time to sell, lower grade coins are perfect for eBay or Facebook Marketplace. But top-tier pieces and varieties deserve the spotlight at heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers or great collections, where fierce bidding wars regularly push prices past the five-figure mark. Now think about what this little coin represents. The end of the wheat cent era, the bridge between the old America and the modern one. A penny that once bought a stick of gum, now selling for more than $24,000. It's a reminder that history often hides in plain sight, in your pocket change, in a forgotten jar, or in a roll of coins from your bank. So next time you see a wheat penny, flip it over. If it says 1958, hold it up to the light, because that 1-cent coin might just carry the story of a nation and the potential to change your day forever. You pick up a shiny new penny. It's bright red, almost mirror-like. The date reads 2019, and under it a tiny D for Denver. You toss it aside. It's just a penny, right? But what if I told you this modern cent could be worth over $16,800? Yes, the coin made just a few years ago, still showing up in pocket change, has already crossed the five-figure mark at auction. It sounds crazy, but that's the thrill of modern coin collecting. The smallest details, a die crack, a double design, a flawless finish, can transform a 1-cent coin into a rare collectible. In 2019, the US Mint struck billions of pennies across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Denver alone produced over 7.3 billion. Each one was made of 97.5% zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper, weighing 2.5 grams. It's the familiar Lincoln design by Victor David Brenner on the front, and the shield reverse designed by Lyndall Bass. That shield represents Lincoln's preservation of the Union, a symbol that connects back to the very first 1909 wheat cent. Most 2019 D pennies are of course common. You'll find them in change, on counters, in rolls from your bank. But out of billions, only a handful survive in flawless condition, the kind of perfection that grading services call MS-69 red. And that's where the story changes. A 2019 D penny graded MS-69, red by PCGS, once sold for $10,200. Another went for $11,800. One stunning example crossed the block for $13,500. And the record, a deep, fiery red cent with absolutely no visible marks, sold for an incredible $16,800. That's right, $16,800 for a coin you could still find in circulation today. Now, why would anyone pay that much? It's because true perfection is nearly impossible at the mint. The dies wear out fast. Small scratches or nicks happen as coins tumble through machines. So when a coin escapes that chaos looking absolutely flawless, it becomes a modern miracle. Collectors compete to own the best. And the top-graded 2019 D pennies are exactly that. But perfection isn't the only path to value. 2019 was also the year of fascinating errors. You've got doubled dies showing extra lines in Liberty or E pluribus unum. You've got off-center strikes where Lincoln's face drifts toward the edge. There are die cracks, cuds, and plating bubbles that can fetch hundreds. Even minor misstrikes have been known to sell for $50, $100, sometimes $500 online. And there's the 2019 W series, struck at West. Point with a tiny W mint mark, released only in proof and special sets. Those coins sparked huge excitement, reminding collectors that even modern pennies can be worth chasing. Now, let's add some history to the mix. 2019 marked the 110th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, the longest-running coin design in US history. From wheat ears to the memorial to the shield, the Lincoln penny has told America's story for more than a century. In 2019, while we scrolled on smartphones and talked to AI assistants, the humble penny kept linking us back to 1909, when a loaf of bread cost a nickel and a cent still mattered. Imagine this. Someone gets a roll of 2019 D pennies from a Denver bank the week they're released. They open it and spot one coin, brighter, sharper, perfect in every way. They send it to PCGS. It grades MS69 red, and months later, that same cent sells for $14,400. That's the power of sharp eyes and timing. So where can you find one? Start simple. Check your pocket change. Modern treasures hide in plain sight. Go to your local bank. Ask for boxes of penny rolls. Search them under a bright LED light or magnifier. Look for flawless surfaces, sharp rims, full strike details. If you see even the smallest mark, it's probably not MS69, but don't worry. There's always another roll to search. And if you stumble on a double die or off-center strike, keep it safe. Use cotton gloves. Never polish or clean it. Cleaning kills value. Store it in a 2x2 holder or a coin flip. Then if you think you've got something special, send it to NGC or PCGS for grading. Selling depends on what you find. Common 2019 D cents are great for bulk lots on eBay or Facebook. Marketplace. Some people build sets of every modern year. But for top grade or error coins, you want the big leagues, heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, or great collections. That's where the serious collectors are. And that's where you'll see those 5-figure prices hit. Now think about this. A coin minted just 6 years ago, still showing up in your spare change. Yet it already rivals the value of classic rarities. It's proof that you don't need a 1909s VDB or a 1943 copper penny to strike gold. Sometimes, the next big treasure is right there in your wallet. You just have to know what to look for. The 2019 D Lincoln Shield penny is a perfect example of how modern coins still carry excitement, history, and value. Billions were made, but only a few shine bright enough to stand out. And for the collectors who find them, that 1-cent coin becomes a piece of modern American history, and sometimes a 6800 surprise. So next time you see that bright red penny, don't pass it over. Turn it in your hand. Look closely, because the 2019 D penny might just be your first step into the world of rare modern coins, where even a single cent can tell a century's worth of stories.